Japan is often described as a paradox. A nation with world-class technology, high living standards, and social stability, yet carrying the largest public debt burden in modern history. And strangely, markets don't panic. Interest rates remain low. The yen still trades. Government bonds still sell. So the mystery isn't whether Japan has a debt problem. It's why that problem hasn't exploded and what that silence is hiding. To understand Japan's situation, we need to return to the moment the system changed. In the late 1980s, Japan was unstoppable. Asset prices soared. Real estate values reached absurd levels. Equities dominated global markets. Then the bubble burst. What followed wasn't collapse, it was stagnation. To prevent mass unemployment and financial chaos, Japan chose intervention over liquidation. Banks were supported. Losses were absorbed. Spending replaced private demand. That decision created stability and debt. The government stepped in again and again, filling gaps left by a cautious private sector. Each intervention solved an immediate problem. None solved the underlying one. As growth slowed, fiscal stimulus became routine. Deficits became permanent. Debt accumulated quietly. But here's where Japan differs from everyone else. Most of its debt is held domestically, by institutions, by pension funds. By the central bank itself. This created an illusion of safety. If you owe money to yourself, it doesn't feel dangerous. For decades, this worked. Low inflation allowed borrowing without punishment. High savings absorbed bond issuance. Confidence remained intact. Then the rise phase changed direction. Demographics turned against the system. Japan aged faster than any major economy in history. Fewer workers supported more retirees. Tax revenues stagnated. Social spending surged. To compensate, borrowing increased further. The Bank of Japan went further than any central bank before it. Zero interest rates, quantitative easing without exit, direct intervention in bond markets. The central bank became the market. This was the breaking point, not visible, but structural. When a central bank owns a massive share of government debt, price discovery disappears. Interest rates stop signaling risk. Markets stop functioning normally. Debt becomes invisible until something changes. The fallout isn't dramatic, it's subtle. A weakened currency, shrinking domestic demand, limited policy flexibility. Japan can't raise rates without triggering losses. It can't cut spending without hurting growth. It can't inflate aggressively without damaging confidence. Every option carries cost. Failed fixes followed the same pattern. More stimulus, more easing, more promises of future reform. Structural reform was delayed because short-term stability always won. Labor markets remained rigid. Productivity gains lagged. Immigration stayed limited. Each year, the system survived. Each year, the room to maneuver shrank. Modern parallels are emerging globally. Other countries now face aging populations, rising debt, and reliance on central banks. Japan wasn't an outlier, it was an early example. The shocking part isn't the debt number itself. It's what debt has become. Not a crisis trigger, but a permanent feature. Japan shows that debt doesn't need to explode to be dangerous. It only needs to quietly reshape incentives. When governments borrow without urgency, when central banks suppress signals, when growth becomes optional, the system drifts. 3 lessons stand out. First, debt can stabilize an economy until it traps it. Short-term safety often creates long-term fragility. Second, central banks can delay consequences, but not eliminate them. Every intervention narrows future choices. Third, the most dangerous debt crises aren't sudden. They unfold so slowly that adaptation feels unnecessary until it isn't possible. The unanswered question isn't whether Japan will collapse. It's whether stagnation becomes the permanent cost of survival. Because the world isn't watching Japan for failure anymore. It's watching to see if this path becomes the model. If you want to understand how economic systems break without breaking headlines, subscribe to the channel. Because the biggest financial risks don't arrive with panic. They arrive quietly and stay far longer than anyone expects.